I was 2-0 as a Muay Thai fighter, so I had a really good record. When I left him, just because the school was too small, and if I wanted to take this as a career, it was time to find a bigger school, something that had a lot more outlets for me. So when I was searching around for schools, I went to Kurtz, I went to AMA, I went to a bunch of local schools that were really, really good, had high-quality guys, great team. So I did see the politics in there, especially like when I told a lot of the guys that I was shopping around, I didn't know where I wanted to go. One school that I went to was just way too far. I would have to move up north. The other school was great. I just didn't see, the accessibility for growth. But when I went to Ricardo's, Frankie reached out to me, Steve Rivera reached out to me, Chris DeGore reached out to me, and was like, hey, man, come check us out, come to the gym, we'd love to have you. And the second I walked in, I knew that was going to be home for me. I walked on the mat, there was 60 guys training on the mat, black belts, white belts. The who's who was in the room. Everybody was cool. There was no egos. And I sparred, we trained. Ricardo and I hit it off, and we signed on the dotted line, man. And the rest is history.
You had mentioned Chris Ligori, and I feel like Chris Ligori is one of those guys that the people in the know, but the people who don't know always want to know who's that guy in Frankie's corner that's always been in his corner. Just touch on Chris Ligori and what he means to New Jersey MMA.
Chris Ligori is a special human being that I don't even think if you can clone somebody, you can come up with a Chris Ligori. You definitely can't buy somebody like him. He is what you call the key factor to our group, the key factor to Frankie Edgar, the key factor to each and every one of us in the room. Talking about a family man who's a great father, somebody that will literally give you the shirt off his back even though he doesn't have another one. He's there for you night and day. He's an incredible human being, incredible teammate. He's got so much knowledge, and he's been in the game for so long that, he's a Hall of Famer, the New Jersey Hall of Famer. He's a special dude, man. He fought in the UFC before the UFC was anything, He helped Frankie through, thick and thin. They started together, you know what I mean? And he is just an incredible person, a BJJ black belt. He's got a plethora of fights. He just has so much knowledge about the game in and out of the cage, and about life, man. He's one of those dudes that I look up to, that I look at like a big brother, a mentor. He's just an incredible individual that I don't think our team would be our team if it wasn't for Chris Ligori.
Yeah, he might be one of the first guys from New Jersey to ever fight in the UFC.
Yeah, I would. I don't know that for a fact, but I would definitely. I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, back in the day, me and Richie had started our grappling journey over at Rhino MMA, and our first night there, Rob had us doing wall takedowns with Chris, and we were wrestling him or whatever, and then, afterwards someone was like, yeah, he fought in the UFC. We're like, wait, what? And, then went home, and I had that on DVD and checking it out, but I always felt that he was one of the unsung heroes of New Jersey MMA and never got the credit that he really deserved.
You said it. You said it perfectly, man. That is the dude that, talk about going through a grinder in life and being able to fight your way out and really building something for yourself. That dude used to work, hard as hell, a regular 9-to-5 job, and find time to train and find time to be a family man. He was a father super young, and he had to grow up really, really fast. You know what I mean? And Chris has been through a lot of shit in his life, but you would never know that because he's always got a smile on his face. He's always got jokes. He's always laughing. He knows how to, if the team's down, he knows how to, spike us all back up, man. And he is definitely should be an MMA idol for sure, because there's no one out there that could ever step in Chris Story's shoes and do what he does. What he did. He's an incredible individual.
Respect.
Yeah, man. I mean, our whole team, man. It's like, and I don't like to say that, like, our team's the best in the world, and the thing about our team, man, we're smaller than any team out there, and I have to say, all of our teammates are in the top ranks of whatever promotion they're in. And with our team, man, we cut the bullshit. We don't sugarcoat nothing. Everyone helps one another out, whether you're in camp or out of camp. Even if you're just sitting on a bench and watching sparring, our team, we've been pretty fortunate to surround ourselves with a small circle of people who want to be there, who love to be there, who like one another, who no one has an ego. If there's some bullshit or drama that we have to handle, we handle it right on the spot. There is no tomorrow or talking shit behind anybody's back. Our coaches are incredible and are dedicated. They're in it with us. When we cry, they cry. When we bleed, they bleed. So our team is very, very special on that aspect. There's a lot of great teams out there that have, 100 fighters on their roster. But our team being as small, I think that's why we're so successful and so strong, because we're able to have eyes on everyone at every given time and be there for everyone. So it's a special thing we have over here.
You touched on the team and the special characters that make up that team. When you first started training with those guys, did you have any pushback from anyone? And were you starstruck by some of the guys you were training with, or did everyone just kind of accept you and they were just like the other boys and there were no issues?
You know what it was, man? It was I starstruck a little bit? Yeah. I had to take my licks. It wasn't like I walked on the team and I started sparring Frankie and all the big guys. Like, nah, it wasn't like that at all. I had to put my time in. I had to get my ass beat. I had to build relationships with people and let them know, like, I'm not a dick. I'm a fool. I'm laid back. I'm just here to train and get better and help you. So I didn't get any really pushback, but I definitely had to take my licks and work my way up to, sparring with these guys. I'll never forget the first spar that I had with Frankie, man. I was scared out of my mind, and I did well. I did well. I like to say I was not one of the first guys who really started adapting as a mixed martial artist, but definitely thinking in that direction to where, putting the wrestling and the Muay Thai and the boxing together well. I think that's what helped me a lot in growth and being able to spar these guys. I'll never forget when Edson first came to the gym. I'm like, holy shit, this dude is legit. I remember seeing him fight at Ring of Combat, and then he came to the gym to help Frankie with, I think it was Jose or Benson, him and Marlon, man. And I was like, these dudes are freakazoids, kick hard and incredible. And I'll never forget the first time I took Edson down. I'm like, all right, I can do this, I can be with these guys, and that's when I was like, all right, they're just human. It's all in the head. They're human. Yeah, they hit hard. They're better than me or whatever, but it's all right. They have their day. I'll have my day. But that was a cool time in my career where at Ricardo's and the old Ricardo's, man, it was kind of like it was rugged. So he had this big mat. There would be 50 guys on the mat every day with different weights, from 25ers to heavyweights. And there were so many guys, we had to split up sparring. So the light guys would go first, and then they would do their 3 or 4 or 5 rounds, and then the next guys would go, and the next guys would go. So the guys that were amateurs and were in there just, trying to build themselves up organically by themselves, that were, just starting out, whatever, would be at the beginning of the mat. All the pro guys and Frankie and Eddie and Edson were all at the end. So that was all the amateur guys' goal to get to the end. You know what I mean? So when you finally get there, it's like, all right, now you got here. Now it's like, let's stay here, So that was always cool at Ricardo's, man, the old gym.
How hard does Edson really kick? Have you ever received one of those ones that Kevin Lee got?
Bro, Edson and I, that's another dude I look up to. We have a great relationship, even though he's at ATT now. Him and I have had a lot of camps together. I've helped him with, I can't even tell you how many. I've helped him with Dustin. I've helped him with Bobby Green. I've helped him with Kevin Lee. I've helped up to Edson with almost every fight. Probably his last 5 or 6 fights for sure. And he kicks like nobody's business, bro. His kicks, his punching power, his strength is honestly, man. His strength and his wrestling are so good, but you never see it in a fight. But Edson can wrestle, man. Edson can wrestle, and you'll never see it. But I mean, his kicks are unbelievable.
Talking about the team and a lot of New Jersey MMA legends in there, and being from New Jersey, me and Richie definitely take pride in going to those old reality fighting shows or the Ring of Combat shows, and you see those guys in the UFC. Jersey has a really tough MMA scene, and there's history behind it. What was it like coming up on the scene in New Jersey in Ring of Combat, and just kind of talk about that journey on the way up?
It's tough, man. It's definitely a tough journey, especially I'm not saying I did it any different than anyone else, but I was working a regular job and finding time to train and running at my dad would pick me up from my boxing gym at 12 o'clock at night, get to the corner of the house and make me run 5 miles before I went to bed. So it was tough. And coming up in the Ring Combat days, like my first 4 fights were the toughest fights because guys were trying to pad their records. So my first fight, my first 2 fights, I probably went through 15 opponents, just trying to fight. So that was tough going through a full camp and getting through all that. But yeah, man, it's definitely a rocky road, but I'm a true testament and a big believer of just trusting the process, especially when you're good and you're good and people are in your ear and telling you, oh, it's going to happen this time, it's going to happen that way. I got promised the UFC probably 2 or 3 times in my career, and neither of those 3 times ever happened. So it's a little discouraging when you have a goal and you're promised something and it doesn't happen. But I'll tell you something, I fought for the UFC 4 times, and it's an incredible walk. But walking out the Ring of Combat, there's nothing like walking out the Ring of Combat. I mean, on stage, there's 4,000 or 5,000 people in that room. Everybody knows you. They're screaming. The bleachers are shaking. The roof is shaking. The noise is so loud. And, everybody's literally right, feet away. It's not like barricaded off like the UFC. It's Ring of Combat is an incredible atmosphere, man. And I love fighting there. I love fighting there. If I could make a living fighting for Ring of Combat, I would. But it's an incredible experience.
Yeah, we've seen some good Ring of Combat fights in our day. How long into starting, or how soon after, or how many fights in did you realize this is what I'm going to do?
So when I was in college, I went to a 2-year college for like 3 years. And,
so did Jimmy.
I went for 10, bro, so you're good.
He's still going.
Yeah, so I don't even know how I made it through. I never even finished. So my parents just always wanted a degree from me. So
was that Brookdale?
Brookdale.
Shout out to Brookdale Community College.
Yeah, everybody's 13th year, and so when I was in college, I decided I didn't want to go to college anymore, and I sat my parents down. I was like, dude, I don't want to go to school. My parents were like, I didn't want to waste their money anymore. I was like, school is just not for me. I had my DJ business going.